Hello and welcome to Intermission Analysis. We finally get to talk Minnesota Wild once again after 2 weeks off. I'm Brandon Mileski. He's Pat Micheletti. Thank you so much for joining us on all of our KFAN social media channels. You can comment. We can see any comments you have. So if you have any questions, comments, or anything else, please do so. Pat, it's great to talk hockey with you again. It's been a while.
It has been too long, Brandon. Nice to have him back playing, that's for sure.
Well, it's not exactly the Minnesota Wild roster we're accustomed to. After Suter and Dumba, you've got 5-year top 7 defensemen not in the lineup tonight, so a bunch of new faces, and obviously not all your forwards back as well due to the COVID stuff. At least you got a decent chunk of your lineup back, and some of your obviously premier forwards are in the game tonight. But it's going to be fortunately, I don't think you're playing the most explosive team in the league, and this is a team you could still be competitive with, especially with guys like Kaprizov and Fiala out there.
I hate to say I told you so, but we talked about this long before the season started and what could possibly happen, with the COVID situation and how important it is to have your taxi squad players be good players. And, that's what they're running into tonight. You've got 4 in the back end and, a couple up front, and, it makes it really difficult. They're only down a goal. They didn't play awful that period, but that's what you're going to get, especially after the layoff that they've had.
Yeah. Let's talk about the back end first. A bunch of guys, you got guys like Kalen Addison, who they acquired in the Pittsburgh Penguins Jason Zucker trade, making his debut.
Yep.
Dakota Mermis, I can't say I know too much about him.
20 games.
Bartkowski, we've seen a little bit up at this level, but he is what he is. You've got AHL defensemen. Sometimes I think guys like Jared Spurgeon and Jonas Brodin do a lot of things that are just kind of unnoticed. They do a lot of little things, and I think you're going to notice tonight how much you miss guys like that in terms of just the ease in which you can break out of your own zone with them.
Well, look at it. I mean, every pass that they made was to the boards, right? And if you're Spurgeon or you're Brodin, you're looking up and you're seeing a guy in the middle, and they're breaking the puck up the middle, right? And LA knows it, and they're just closing everything on the boards there, and it's making it really, really difficult for them to get out of their own end. And, LA kept them pinned in pretty much the majority of the period. But, the errors weren't egregious. They didn't look out of place. But, it's the reality of it is they're not Spurgeon. They're not Brodin. And, when you miss those two guys, you miss, two of your top players on your team.
Now, that being said, it's one period.
Yep.
They're playing at they're playing at a faster speed than you see in the AHL.
Yep.
You have new teammates you're not completely acclimated to.
Yep.
So let's give them a little bit of time here to adjust.
No doubt about it.
I would assume we'd see a better second period than you'd see in the first period out of those guys. And really the goal they gave up, Pat, to me that was Parise had a chance to clear at the wall, didn't. And then Parise over pursued, left Jeff Carter wide open in the middle, and then the whole thing was broken down at that point.
Then it breaks down, right? Because the D move over to try to get the puck carrier, and left that defenseman wide open, and that's an easy goal.
Let's talk about the forward play, Pat, and they talked a little bit about it on the television broadcast that we're watching. I've always been a believer, and I think they echoed it. Wes Walls did, and Anthony LaPanta, that when you have a long layoff like that, it's the hands that take the longest to come back. Especially when you had hands like me, Pat. Maybe with your golden hands, it was a little easier. But I would think we would see, especially from our main top guys, some better hands here in the second period than the first period.
Well, you hope so. They have new lines. Johansson is in the middle now, right? And so. Not only your handling of the puck, but your passing of the puck. And, and you're going to see, what we did see some, pucks and skates, and you don't have that feel. So, it takes a little bit of time, but, like you said, hopefully we'll see a better second.
I mean, you saw, they did have a couple chances. Kaprizov lost his edge there on that 2-on-1.
Yeah.
Fiala kind of had a 2-on-1/3-on-2 and ended up doing a little spinorama move. But what I really like that period, and we've seen it from Dean Evison a bit throughout the season, is after both Kings power plays, the first one they scored, that second one they didn't, the first line out there for the Minnesota Wild, he has Kaprizov and Fiala out there together. And I think that's just so smart to, one, just understanding when momentum can be changed in a game. And two, the other team just had their top 2 power play units out there. They've had their top players out there. You're going to have go out against the third, fourth line. Great chance to put those 2 together.
No doubt about it. And you have to realize too, after a power play, you may not have, you may have different players. I didn't see what the exact lines were for LA, but you have different guys out on the power play. So they're on their bench trying to get everything assembled and get the proper line out there. Maybe that coach throws out a fourth line and bam. Yeah. Very smart coaching to put those 2 out there. And I'll say one thing, when Minnesota does get in the offensive zone, they're tough. They have the ability to control things. The problem being they didn't have the puck in the offensive zone enough. But their forecheck looked good to me when they had the puck in the offensive zone. I like how they're de-joining the play, and they're cycling up high, and there's a lot of movement, which I really like out of them when they're in the offensive zone.
Let's talk about the goaltending. I thought kind of the underrated aspect of that period was Kaapo Kähkönen. I thought played pretty well. Even the goal that was scored where he had to go side to side, he got a stick on that thing.
He did.
Somehow he got the paddle on that thing and it knocked off the paddle and in. And when you're missing the defenseman, you are when you might not be able to. It's not a team that scores a lot to begin with. You got to have good goaltending. I thought he was great in that period.
Yeah, he was fine. And he's been good all year. And that was one of the question marks going in for you and I. What are you going to have? With Stalock being out and Talbot coming in new. What's your goaltending going to be like? And he's been just fine and better than fine in the games he's played, and as obviously has had a good start tonight.
Derek wants to know, why can't we trade Rask and a 4th for Stepan? I think it would be a win-win and could launch Kaprizov into the stratosphere. You're shaking your head, and you kind of have my thoughts. I've seen a lot of the Stepan rumors lately.
Why do you want Stepan? I mean, I like him. He's a good guy. He's had a great career, but he's at the tail end of his career. He's playing on the 4th line in Ottawa. He's not. He never was fleet of foot, and now he's a little bit older. And and trust me, he's had a great career. He was a great power play guy with the Rangers, but at some point, your career, comes to it slows down a little bit. It's no fault of his. It's mother time, right? Taking over, and this team is trying to get to a new level. And they're trying to get younger, and they're trying to get faster, and they're trying to get more skill. And I don't know why, if you look at Victor Rask, right? He's played pretty good for him up to this point. How many goals does he have? 4? Whatever, right?
I'm still not a huge fan, but yeah.
Well, you don't have to be a huge fan. He's not going to be a top 6 guy, but he's been as good as a lot of forwards for them right now. And, I just, I'd rather have Rask right now than Stepan.
Well, and, I understand why fans of the team would, we're desperate at the center position. Let's be honest. We might be as bad at the center position as any team in the National Hockey League.
Right.
So they look at the centers and go, hey, well, Stepan's an upgrade. He might be a slight upgrade over some of the guys we have.
Right.
But we ain't going to the cup with Derek Stepan.
No.
And to think like he's just going to be able to elevate Kaprizov, elevate Fiala. I don't see it. And as you mentioned, he's had a good career. He's okay.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm not giving up any future picks just because he might be a slight upgrade over some of the centers that we have. Well, let's talk about, you mentioned earlier in this intermission that Johansson playing center tonight for the first time. When the Wild traded for him, the thought was he would be at center, and then obviously before training camp he got moved to wing. At the time, I kind of thought maybe he's being moved to wing because Zuccarello was out. Zuccarello is now in tonight, and now he's at center. Now, we also have other centers out, so who knows what their line of thinking is. But I kind of thought they were putting him at wing just to be a Zuccarello replacement until Zuccarello comes back. And, of course, he's playing on the fourth line tonight. I'll be interested to see how they are going to construct this lineup when Zuccarello's back to speed, when everyone is off COVID and healthy at some point, if we ever get to that point.
Well, quite frankly, when they traded for him, they said he was going to be a center. I think they had to say that. I think their intent was, in my personal view, was to play him on the wing all along. And I think their hope was that Marco Rossi was going to be a factor.
Yeah.
And I also thought that they were going to trade somebody to acquire center. That never transpired. And now, he may be forced to play there for a while.
Second period, and then going into the third period here, Pat, I liked what I saw from Kaprizov in that period. I know he he lost his edge a little bit. I thought the energy is there for him. I thought the confidence. Obviously, it's an arena he's had success so far early in his career with the game winner in overtime in game one, and then the assist to Johansson in game two in overtime. He just seems like he has a little bit more pep in his step, and I think you're going to see Kaprizov get on the board here.
He looks to be a take charge guy, in my opinion. I mean, he just, he loves to play, and you can see it in his game. And listen, they're going to need him. They're going to need Fiala tonight, and hopefully have a better second period.
All right, Pat, we will talk to you after the second intermission right here on the KFAN Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channels.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
All right, thanks. He's Pat Micheletti. I'm Brandon Mileski. Thank you so much for watching us this intermission. Like I said, we'll be back second intermission for those of you that are staying up late watching Wild versus Kings tonight. The Wild trailing 1-0 after one period. We'll talk to you after next period.